Hey ladies, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Didn't do that in order. That's apparently my day right now. We are going to talk about choices today. Kind of every week we've been going off of feelings of what we should be talking about, like our intuition, something that we might have previously discussed when we get up and we have our early morning conversation before we work out and we start talking about things, and it came up. And it came up in some belief breakthrough, and I think creating the new belief was where we were just like, ooh, we kind of like this. So it was more about like how we get to choose the things that we put into our life and what that looks like. So and even the things, and it's even like it's going to go to like that hard place where I think we think that we don't have a choice. We think, oh, we just have uh, it can only go one way. No, there's multiple ways. It's just that maybe one way isn't going to serve you or make you feel good, and the other way is. So, and sometimes there's even more than two different ways to go about things. So, but one serves you and maybe the others don't. And so it's just becoming like more in tune with your intuition to figure out which way you want to go.
Love it. I have like so many things just rolling through my mind right now about choices and like what that can look like. Um, and yeah, it's really choices of how we show up in our day, right down to what time are you waking up and what energy are you choosing to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing what we put into our bodies, how we move our bodies, what we listen to during the day, the people that we have in our life. All of those things are choices. I was actually listening to, and this just popped into my head, um, Everything is Figure Outable. And she
Mm-hmm.
was talking exactly about how every single thing we do is a choice. Yes, we have to go through our day, time is going to pass, but we choose every single moment. And she was talking like, if you just sat around and you didn't pay your bills and you didn't show up and fuel your body the way that you need to, and you didn't cook your kids dinner, like essentially everything would fall apart. People would come after you for your money. You wouldn't have power. Like, those are things you have to do, but we still make the choice to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it comes down, honestly, to every single thing that we do to move through our life. And that is how we create our life. That's how we create the future that we want to live, is
Mm-hmm.
by first making the choices in everything that we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking what was popping through my head was like my favorite thing when we say I can't. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that you can't, it's that you don't want to or you won't.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so I loved at UFD they had the saying if you can you must,
mm-hmm.
because it really takes out the excuses. Because I don't really like doing push-ups when I'm doing my workout so much. I'm getting better at them because if I can, I must. If I
Yes.
just said I can't, then my body is going to align with that, and I'm not going to be able to do the push ups, and I won't be able to progress in that area. And it's not just, this is just an example because I feel like fitness is a good way to show the example because there's measurements and there's how many times you can do something, how many reps, and all that stuff. Um, but if you don't even give yourself the chance to do it and you just go straight to the I can't,
Mm-hmm.
you, even if you did one more push up than you did last week, that's a win. Or if you did the same amount of push ups but you went down further because you were stronger, then that's a win. And it's all comes down to actually choosing to do
Mm-hmm.
it. Like I choose to get onto the floor and get on into plank position and then do the push up. And you
Yeah.
can relay that to life too. If something is hard, like some people might say, oh, I want to start a website. that kind of thing. But if you don't actually put the effort in, the website's not going to do itself. So
Yeah.
all that is a choice.
I love that so much. I actually just like grabbed my phone and brought up my post that I shared the other day because
Mhm.
I could have just read that. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what you said. So I'm just going to read like the beginning little part and then like elaborate a little bit more because it kind of
Yeah.
goes into what you were saying. So I put, and this is from the book that I'm listening to, Everything is Figure Outable.
Yeah.
And she says, the most powerful words in the universe are the words you say to yourself. Is there
Mhm.
something or more than one something that you've been avoiding doing that you've been telling yourself you can't for whatever reason?
Right.
And then I said, I want you to take a second and replace that I can't with I won't or I don't want to. And then say it like this: I don't want to put in the work to do whatever that thing is. And that right there is that choice that we make. Saying we can't is BS and an excuse so that we feel okay about not doing that thing.
Yeah.
We still have to show up. And then I
Yeah.
kind of just like talked a little bit about being honest with yourself when it comes to that choice. Just like you were saying when we first started chatting, that there's choices that are going to serve you and choices that aren't going to serve you. And we need to figure out what we're feeling. Why are we telling ourselves we can't do it? What is that thing that we're saying we can't do? And what is stopping us from doing it? Is it because it doesn't actually bring us joy? So we
Mhm.
need to figure out what does bring us joy and then choose the thing that brings us joy. Or is it because it's hard and we're afraid that maybe we're going to fail? So rather than choosing the hard and choosing to step into that fear of doing that thing, we just say we can't and then we just don't do it.
Mhm.
And even you talking about like starting a website or whatever that thing might be, if we can figure out why are we telling ourselves that we can't do this and
Mhm.
choosing not to do it, when we can figure out what it is and then choose to do it and show up in it, even if it's scary, even if
Mhm.
it's quitting a job or asking for a promotion or changing career paths, telling your family about it, doing something really scary, removing people from your life, all of those things, nobody else is going to do for us. And we need to show up and choose to
Mhm.
do them for ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. And I also, it was reminding me of when you're talking about like removing people from your life and that, and we've talked about boundaries before, and um, what I had going through my head was, I think it was Jen Sincero's book, "You Are a Badass at Making Money," but she talks about how like what we do, how we make excuses for things. Like she said, you know, you could absolutely hate the job that you go to every day, but she said you will tell yourself, well, she's like, and she elaborates it like a little bit more comical because she is kind of like that, which I find it kind of funny and interesting. But she's like, you know, you're in the stairway crying at lunchtime by yourself because you don't like your job, but you'll be like, but the benefits are great, and when I retire, you know, I'm going to get a really great pension. And it's like, yeah, but you're going to spend 30 years working at a job or more,
Mm-hmm.
working at a job that you absolutely don't like going to. And we make excuses and decide that we're still going to do it, and that is still a choice. But we'll make excuses. We'll be like, yes, but, and I find that so interesting because we will say that's not a choice,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's really interesting in the aspect of how we can convince ourselves that we don't have a choice in going to work or going to a job that's not serving us, that's draining us out, you know, but we make the excuses for it. And that's still a choice. So I feel like at this point in the game, for me, if I had to sit and listen to someone, say those things. Like I can tolerate quite a bit, but I'm at a place in my life right now where I don't know if I'd be able to tolerate someone without being honest and expressing my opinion on the matter, because I think that as soon as you open the conversation to talk about something with another person, you've opened that door, and you better be ready to hear someone else's thoughts and opinions on it. Doesn't mean you have to agree with how they're bringing about stuff, but yeah, it's interesting. I think that's more like a psychological thing, I think, that I'm thinking about, where we just make excuses, and we just think that there's no choices for us.
Yeah. And I even think like you could just play out a whole example of like your day. So Deb and I have been talking a lot around and having tons of breakthroughs on how we feel about our bodies, on the food that we're eating, on this idea of the scale telling us what we're worth. So here's an example of how you could choose your day to go by starting it out the exact same way. So you wake up in the morning, not even wanting to get up. You get up anyways. You're grumbling that your alarm went off. You step on the scale. Instantly, your whole day is set now because you're focused on that number. You don't feel good. You're choosing your worth and your value on what the number on that scale said. So now you're instantly looking in the mirror. You're feeling crappy about yourself, about how your clothes are fitting. You're miserable with your kids and you're snapping at them all day. This is how your day snowballs. Or you choose to wake up excited that you were blessed with another day. Maybe you still step on the scale, but like me this morning, I was like, that's cool, but I'm still strong and I still look amazing and I still feel amazing and this body is still showing up for me. And I'm excited that I have the gift to move my body. And the kids wake up and I'm excited because I choose to be excited that I'm a mom and that I was given these blessings in my life. Every single moment, we're choosing how we show up and how we respond to those things. I'm the one that stepped on the scale. So I'm the one that has to choose how I'm going to respond to the number that comes up on the scale. Every single moment is a choice.
Yeah, totally. I think the other thing to acknowledge too is that when you're talking about like choosing, I don't know why my mind keeps going to like, I guess because we have been focusing so much on fitness and health and all that stuff. But one thing that my mind keeps going to is like, we've been doing the same program, same amount of time. From what I can tell, we're doing like pretty much the same weights, the same bands when we're doing all the exercises and all that. And our weight, like the fluctuation in numbers and stuff is different for both of us. Yeah. And so I find it interesting, even in that sense, where everybody's different and everybody is at where they're at, and how we commit so much to the scale and to what we think it should be. But you're right, like as soon as you step on that scale in the morning, if that's what you choose to do, I wouldn't recommend doing it every day, but maybe if you're training for bodybuilding or something like that, then you do it. But it's still your choice how you react to the situation. It's still your choice how you feel when you get on that scale and when you get off that scale. And if you're feeling something that doesn't feel good when you're jumping off that scale, I would recommend taking a look, because right away you should have an answer as to why it doesn't feel good or doesn't feel right in that moment. And so even then you get to make the choice in how you redirect your feelings and your emotions in on a situation, even as simple as something like that.
And if you can't relate to the fitness side of it or stepping on the scale, even something, and I mean, I am guilty for not always choosing those positive things. So I had like 3 things on my list that I needed to go and grab for groceries. Like we were out of them and they're like essential staple things we use in our house. So Walmart is like my quick place to go. So I go to Walmart and instantly I'm irritated that there's a lineup of people. And so I'm just like grumpy about it. And then I'm like grumbling, well, I'm going to go to a different store. So I drive across the thing to the superstore and there's a line up there. And I'm like, seriously? Like so frustrated. And then it was like, okay, hold on. I chose to come here and get these things that we needed. These other people don't care that I'm here. They're all waiting in the lineup too. So it's just like those kind of situations too, where we choose how we feel in the choices that we make.
Yeah, and a lot of things like that are habit.
Yeah.
It stems from a place of like really unconsciousness. Like it's not even something you've done it for so long that right away you're irritated. Someone cuts you off in traffic, right away you're irritated because you've programmed yourself
Yeah.
to go to that place. But you can go to a place of unprogramming that.
Yeah.
All of that is always going to be a choice in how we face each day. And you can say, yes, but that person did this to me. Yes, but when I worked at the school that I was working at, I always told the kids this, and I feel like it's just a good thing. And if you're an adult or you're a kid, doesn't matter. And my kids know it too. And that is that you are not responsible for someone else. You are only responsible for your reactions.
Mhm.
So I said the same thing to school kids who, I don't know, kicked someone in the butt or something like that at school. Well, yeah, but that person said something and I didn't like it. And it's like, well, yeah, but you still made a choice
Mhm.
to
I
go and do
love
that.
that.
Now, what's the consequences of that choice, right? And the same thing goes for our brains. When we constantly have this program of going to this place that maybe isn't serving us, doesn't feel good, we're like, oh, why did I do that? Or, that kind of thing. We always have the choice, even if it's programmed, to go to that space and that place to unprogram that part of our brains where we get to redirect and we get to refocus.
And that comes down to like awareness. I've been
Mm.
choosing to become aware, to be a watcher of my thoughts. Yeah, I slip up. That's just human nature that we do that and we go back to that place of those things that are programmed. But I'm choosing. I could just be like, oh, like, why do I want to be aware of what I'm doing? Like, that's silly. It's a choice. I'm choosing that, hey, I'm not loving these reactions that I'm having out of habit and I want to change them.
Hmm. Yeah. And then slowly over time, they become unconsciously competent. So you've taken something that was patterns and programmed into you, and you have retrained your brain to go to a place where you don't even actually have to think about it anymore. You just don't respond, or your reaction is completely different and it's serving you in a different way. And ultimately, that's where we want to get to, is that place of unconscious competence, because
Mhm.
your brain is there the second that it happens. And how lovely would that be if all the things that are happening around us, it doesn't matter if someone cuts you off or budges in line, whatever it looks like, it doesn't matter.
And it falls into sort of the saying of like, control the controllable, which is the way that we respond and the choices that we make. We can't control what happens around us. We can't control this pandemic that's going on. We can't control the lineups outside of the grocery stores. But what I can control is maybe if there's somebody standing in that grocery line that needs to have a conversation with me. And I can pour some love into them because I chose to show up in a better place than to just be irritated and try find somewhere else that was convenient for me.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Well, yeah, and this is the time, right? During this um pandemic, like you said, in this world, right now is where there's a ton of choices to be made. And some of them don't serve some people, and there may be some judgment from some people. But I think the big important thing to remember is that if it's serving you and if it's honoring you, then you are the person, like, and you're still on some level respecting someone else's space
Hmm.
in that way, then you do you. That's kind of how I feel about it,
Yeah.
because there's a lot, like, I mean, I still go for walks with my close friends, that kind of thing, because I know where they are and I know where they've been,
Yeah.
and we're a pretty close knit group, right?
Yeah.
So that's different than just deciding to, and then, so there's like there are certain boundaries that I've put into place for myself, just to, I guess, kind of respect the space of others.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. And
but
still show up choosing what you would like to do because it serves you.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know, I think we've covered quite a bit of ground.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I love it when you just start like unwrapping it and getting
Yeah.
to like it's just never ending. But
Oh,
I
and
love
yeah.
uh,
I have so many thoughts, like, just I'm like, keep it in line here, Devin, because like I could go off on a tangent. It would just lead into like boundaries and the chemistry and like the
yeah,
neuroscience of all
totally.
it.
I know, and I'm
And
sitting here thinking like level 5 listening. I'm not doing that right now because I'm like, hey, Dev's saying this. I'm like, ooh, wait, I just had 700 things pop into my head that I want to talk about.
yeah, well, and choices, right? Redirection. We're
I'm
learning.
aware that clearly level
Yeah.
7 listening, that would be like intense.
Yeah, it might be a little awkward for the person you're listening
Right.
to.
That's like you don't blink, you don't like have facial
You lean
expressions.
right into
Yeah.
them.
In their
Yeah.
face. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh
I
gosh.
hope you guys loved our chat today. It was really fun. These discussions are just the best, honestly. I love how much
Yeah.
we're growing and how much we can share our experiences with you. Yeah.
Yeah, have a great day, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.